The snow started falling just after noon, soft and slow like a lullaby. By the time school let out, it had thickened into a white curtain, blowing sideways across the sidewalks and erasing the world in every direction. Eli Parker, age 8 and fiercely independent, hadn't wanted to wait. "I can walk home myself," he had told his teacher. She hesitated, but Eli had made the walk dozens of times, just 4 blocks down Maple Street and 2 turns through the neighborhood. Easy, familiar, safe. He didn't account for the wind or for how quickly snow could turn every familiar corner into something alien and blank. By the time Eli realized he was lost, he had wandered deep into a park that looked like his neighborhood. Same trees, same fences, even the same red picnic bench, but it wasn't his park. And nothing looked the way it should under 5 inches of snow. His thin jacket did little to keep the cold from his skin. His backpack dragged like a weight behind him, and his cheeks stung from wind. He tried not to cry, because that's what little kids did, and Eli was not little, but the tears came anyway, and that's when he saw it, a shadow in the snow, moving low to the ground. Too large to be a cat, too fast to be a trick of the wind. It padded into view, shaggy, silent, and streaked with snow. A dog, brown and black, with one floppy ear and a cautious gaze. It stopped a few feet from him and stared. Eli sniffled, wiping his nose with his mitten. "Hey, buddy," he said, trying not to sound scared. The dog wagged its tail once, then turned and trotted a few paces away. It stopped, looked back. "Wait," Eli said, confused. "Where are you going?" The dog barked, once, then took a few more steps. It was waiting for him. Eli hesitated. The dog stood halfway down the snowy trail, its body tense but not threatening. It looked over its shoulder, tail flicking as if saying, "Come on, follow me." Eli looked behind him. The snow had already swallowed his footprints. The trees stood still and strange like frozen giants. He turned back to the dog. "Okay," he whispered. He started walking. The snow crunched beneath his boots, the only sound in the world besides the wind. The dog kept a careful pace ahead, stopping every so often to check that Eli was still behind. It didn't bark again. It didn't seem scared, just sure. The trail twisted through a cluster of pine trees. Branches heavy with snow sagged over, the path creating a tunnel of green and white. The wind eased slightly within the trees, and Eli could breathe easier. "Are you someone's dog?" he asked the silence. "Did you get lost too?" The dog didn't answer, of course, but it glanced back at him, and Eli imagined it understood. 10 minutes passed, maybe 20. Time didn't feel real anymore. The sky was white. The ground was white. The world narrowed to the dog's footprints and the warmth of its body ahead. Eli was cold. The kind of cold that settles in and doesn't go away. His legs ached, his mittens were soaked, but he kept going because the dog kept going. At a small clearing, the wind gusted again, hard. Eli stumbled, fell to his knees. He stayed there a moment, panting, heart thumping in his ears. The cold bit deeper. Then something warm brushed his side. The dog had doubled back. It nudged him with its nose, then pressed its body against Eli's side. "I'm tired," Eli whispered, eyes stinging with tears. The dog licked his cheek once, then stood in front of him, blocking the wind. It planted its feet like it was guarding him, waiting, patient. Eli reached out slowly and rested a mittened hand on its shoulder. The fur was thick, coarse, real, alive. That gave him enough to stand. They kept walking. Soon, Eli saw something in the distance, faint lines in the snow. A fence. He recognized it. It was the back edge of the Andersons' farm. He'd passed it once with his dad, when they took the long way home. The dog had found a way out of the park. It was leading him home. "You're amazing," Eli breathed. The dog wagged its tail again and picked up the pace, its steps faster now, purposeful. Eli followed. The fence became a row of houses. The row of houses became a mailbox he recognized. And then, his street. He could see the porch light, and his mom. She was in the snow, coat half-zipped, calling his name into the wind. "Mom!" Eli shouted, voice cracking. She turned, eyes wide, and ran. They met in the driveway, snow swirling around them. She dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around him, holding him so tightly he thought he might disappear. "Oh my God, Eli," she sobbed. "I've been looking for you. I've been calling everyone. Are you okay?" "I got lost," he mumbled against her shoulder. "But the dog, he helped me." She pulled back, blinking. "What dog?" Eli turned. The dog was gone. The street stretched empty behind them, snow falling softly. No footprints, no shadow, just silence. The next morning brought a clear sky and streets glazed with ice. Plows had pushed the snow into uneven heaps along the curbs. Trees glittered like chandeliers, their branches weighed down with frost. Inside, the Parker house, everything smelled like hot cocoa and laundry detergent. Eli sat at the kitchen table, bundled in 2 sweaters, his favorite blanket draped over his shoulders. His mum flitted between making toast and dialing her phone, talking to neighbors, the school, and anyone who might have heard about a lost child wandering home in a snowstorm. "Nothing," she muttered, checking Facebook again. Nobody saw. "A dog, but he was real," Eli insisted for the 5th time that morning. He had floppy ears, and one eye was kind of squinty. I think he was hurt or something, but he was fast. She knelt beside him, brushing his hair back. "I believe you, sweetie. I do. But no one's reported a missing dog like that. Maybe he ran off before anyone could catch him." Eli frowned. "I want to find him." "I know." She kissed the top of his head. "We'll keep looking, okay?" After breakfast, Eli made a sign. It was crooked, and the letters weren't all the same size, but it was honest. It said, "Found dog, black and brown, big, 1 floppy ear, saved me in the storm. Please help me find him. Eli, age 8, 555-2398." He made 6 copies and taped them to poles, one on the fence near the school, and another at the corner where the park began. The wind had quieted, but Eli's cheeks still turned pink in the cold. He scanned the streets every few minutes, hoping for a shadow, a tail, anything. Nothing. That night, his mom tucked him in early. She left the hallway light on just in case. Eli lay in bed with his sketchpad open, drawing the dog as best he could, from memory. He gave him strong shoulders and big paws, a kind face, a bent ear. He wrote "My hero" underneath. Then he fell asleep and dreamed of snow. In his dream, Eli stood in the middle of the storm again. But this time, the dog didn't lead him. He stood beside him, waiting, watching. Wind howled past them, but it didn't touch them. The dog looked up at him, tail wagging slowly, as if saying, "You're safe now. My job is done." "Wait!" Eli cried. "Where are you going?" The dog turned and vanished into the white. The next morning, Eli had an idea. "We have to go to the shelter," he told his mom. "Maybe someone brought him there." It was a long shot, but she agreed. They bundled up and drove to the town's animal shelter, just outside the city limits. Inside, the place smelled like straw, soap, and fur. Barking echoed from the back kennels. A young woman at the desk smiled as they entered. "We're hoping to find a stray," Eli explained, gripping the drawing in his mittened hands. "He helped me get home in the snowstorm." She raised her eyebrows. "That's quite a story." "It's true," Eli insisted. "He's a hero." She took the drawing, studying it carefully. "Well, let's take a look. Come on back." They walked the narrow aisle of kennels, passing all kinds of dogs, big ones, loud ones curled in tight circles on blankets. Eli looked carefully at everyone, but none were his. No floppy ear, No quiet stare, no wag like the one that led him through the storm. "I'm sorry," the woman said gently. "He's not here." Eli looked down at his boots. "Sometimes," she added, "animals find us when we need them most, and then they move on." "Like angels?" She smiled. "Maybe." That night they didn't talk much over dinner. Eli was quiet, but not sad exactly, just thoughtful. Later he opened his window a crack and set a bowl of water on the porch. Then he left a note beside it, weighed down with a rock. "If you come back, I'll be here. Thank you." Eli woke early the next morning, earlier than usual. The sky outside his window had just started to lighten. A soft, bluish-grey dawn that made everything look hushed and waiting. His first thought wasn't of breakfast or cartoons or school. It was the dog. He scrambled out of bed, still in his pajama pants, and padded barefoot across the cold wooden floor to the front door. The window beside it was fogged over, but he wiped a circle clean with his hand and peered outside. The bowl of water was still there, untouched, and the note hadn't moved. Eli's shoulders sagged just a little. He turned away, disappointed, then paused. Something caught his eye, faint markings in the snow near the edge of the porch. He pressed his face to the glass, squinting. There, just past the steps, were prints. Paw prints. He rushed to the door, threw on his coat and darted outside in his socks. The air was sharp and bit at his nose, but he didn't care. The snow had crusted over slightly in the night, and the prints were pressed clearly into the surface, broad pads, spaced evenly, heading toward the woods at the end of the street. They were fresh. He came back, Eli whispered, a smile blooming across his face. He followed the tracks a few steps, but they disappeared behind a neighbor's fence and into thicker brush. He knew better than to go wandering again, not after last time. But he didn't need to follow. Not yet. The dog had returned. That meant something. At school that day, Eli told his friend Mason everything. Mason was 2 months older and always tried to act like it, but today he listened wide-eyed, quiet the whole time. "You should name him," Mason said, "even if he's not yours yet." Eli thought about that. "I don't know what he'd want to be called." "What about Snowball?" Eli wrinkled his nose. "He's not a snowball. He's braver than that." They thought in silence for a moment. Then Mason grinned. "What about Brave?" Eli blinked. "Brave." He whispered the word to himself, testing how it sounded. "Yeah, that fit. Brave," he said again, smiling. "That's his name." That afternoon, Eli left a new note beside the water bowl. "Hi, Brave, I saw your paw prints. Thank you for coming back. I really want to see you again. You're my best friend, even if no one else sees you. Eli." He added a strip of bacon from breakfast, wrapped in a napkin. Then he sat inside, watching from the window. For a while, nothing happened, but just as the sun began to set, he saw movement. A dark shape moved silently across the yard. Eli held his breath. It was Brave. This time he came all the way up the steps, sniffed the bowl, took the bacon gently in his mouth. Then he sat, just sat, like he was waiting. Eli tiptoed to the door and opened it slowly, careful not to scare him. Off. The dog turned to look at him, eyes calm and kind. "Hi," Eli whispered. Brave wagged his tail once. Eli stepped outside and sat on the top step, a careful distance away. "I missed you," he said. "Everyone says you were just a dream, but I knew you were real." Brave didn't move, just kept looking at him with those steady eyes. "I want to help you now, like you helped me." Still, the dog sat. Eli reached into his coat and pulled out another napkin-wrapped treat, this one a bit of chicken from dinner. He set it down between them and slid it forward. Brave crept closer, sniffed, and gently took it. Then, finally, he stepped forward and placed his head against Eli's knee. Eli barely breathed. He lifted one hand slowly and ran it down the dog's neck. Brave let him. That night, Brave didn't disappear into the woods. He curled up on the porch under the overhang, resting his head on his paws as snow began to fall again. Eli watched from the window, his heart full. He didn't need the whole world to see. Brave was his, and he was home. The days following Brave's return were a blur of small moments. Eli looked forward to every evening when he could sit on the porch and talk to the dog, sometimes not even saying anything, just sharing the silence together. Brave's presence was comforting, grounding, like something steady in the middle of the chaos that was the world outside. The cold had settled into the town, with the snow piling up inch by inch. But it didn't matter. Eli was warmer than he'd ever been thanks to Brave's steady companionship. One evening, when his mum had gone to the store, Eli sat outside, tracing his fingers in the snow beside the dog. "Do you think I could convince Mom to let you stay inside?" Eli asked softly, looking at Brave. Brave gave a low grunt, stretching out his legs in the snow. He glanced up at Eli with a patient gaze as if to say, "You're not quite there yet." Eli's cheeks flushed. He knew. Mum was always concerned about having a dog inside, especially one that had no collar or family. But Eli was determined. That night, he placed a blanket in the corner of the porch and put a pillow on it, making it as comfortable as possible. He set out a bowl of water and a small pile of food that his mom had bought, just in case Brave came back hungry. Brave didn't immediately take to the blanket, but after a few hours he lay down beside it, curling up against the porch railing. It was clear now. Brave had chosen him. Eli didn't know how to explain it. He didn't need to. It was like the universe had folded itself into a single moment when the dog had appeared in his life. Like Brave was meant to be there to help him, guiding him home, watching over him, showing him what it meant to be strong and kind in the face of fear. One Saturday morning, Eli and his mum stood at the edge of the kitchen sipping mugs of hot chocolate. "I've been thinking," his mum said, glancing over at Eli, "about Brave. I've looked at a few shelters. There's one not far from here that takes in stray animals." Eli's heart leapt into his throat. "You mean you're going to send him away?" She shook her head. "I'm not saying that, but we need to be sure. It's a big step, Eli. And Brave is, well, not just any dog." Eli held his breath. "He's not a stray anymore. He's mine. He's ours." His mum's gaze softened. "I see that, and I've seen how happy you are. But I need to know more about where he came from. We should get him checked by a vet first." Eli looked down at Brave, who was curled up on his blanket on the porch, tail tucked beside him. He was a little larger now, with thicker fur and more confidence. "He's part of the family," Eli said quietly, almost to himself. By the end of the week, they had a plan. Eli's mom agreed to let Brave stay on the porch for now, but they would bring him inside for short periods and keep him under observation. They'd give him a collar. They'd see if anyone claimed him at the shelter. But deep in his heart, Eli knew he wasn't letting go of Brave. A few weeks later, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, Eli's mom got a phone call while they were both in the living room. She answered the phone, speaking to the person on the other end with a polite but businesslike tone. Eli sat with his sketchbook, flipping through pages as he sketched Brave. He felt a tug in his chest, something he couldn't aim as he overheard his mom's conversation. "Yes, I'm the one who found him. Yes, I did. No, I didn't think he was lost either. He's been here with us for a while now." Eli felt his heart start to race. He set down his pencil. His mom's voice softened. I see. Thank you for reaching out. I think we'll keep him. She hung up the phone. Eli looked up at her, a mix of curiosity and fear. Well? He asked. His mom smiled at him. No one came forward. No one's looking for him, Eli. Eli's breath caught. He felt a joy swell in his chest, like the first warm day after a long winter. Does this mean? Yes, his mom said, walking over to him with a gentle smile. Brave's staying with us. Eli jumped up and hugged her. I knew it. I knew it. Brave, who had been lying on the floor near the door, looked up at the commotion. His tail wagged once. Then, as if to confirm that he was indeed part of the family, he padded over and nudged Eli's hand with his nose. The months passed in a peaceful blur. The snow melted away, but Brave stayed. He became a part of their everyday life, from quiet mornings spent cuddling on the couch to afternoons running through the park. He had a collar now, bright blue with his name stitched in, white. But Eli still called him Brave, because that's who he was. The bond between them only grew stronger. And it wasn't long before Eli's mom began to notice something else, how Brave had changed since the storm. Eli was different too. Braver, stronger, more confident. Maybe it wasn't just that Brave had found him in the storm. Maybe they had both found each other. One afternoon, as Eli sat on the front steps with Brave at his side, he gazed down the street. It was winter again, but the air didn't feel so heavy. It felt like the beginning of something new. Brave had found his place and Eli had found his heart. You saved me, Eli said softly, scratching Brave behind the ears. But I think you saved us both. Brave licked his face in return, and they both sat there, watching the snowflakes fall quietly, just two souls in the world together.